माला सुधा कुंभ विबोध मुद्रा विद्याविराजत करवारिजाता अपार कारुण्य सुधाम्बुराशिं श्री शारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् शङ्कारूपेण मर्चित्तं पङ्केकतमबोध्यया किङ्करीयस्य सामाया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये प्रह्लादवरदो देवो यो नृसिंहः परो हरिः नृसिंहोपासकं नित्यं तं नृसिंहगुरुं भजे श्री सच्चिदानंद शिवाभिनव्य नृसिंह भारत्य पितान् यतीन्द्रान् विद्यानितीन् मन्त्रनितीन् सदात्मनिष्ठान् भजे मानव शम्भुरूपान् सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः परान्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखर भारती विवेकिनं महाप्रज्ञं धैर्योदारक्षमानिधिं सदाभिनवपूर्वं तं विद्यातीर्थगुरुं भजे भारती करुणापात्रं भारती पदभूषणं भारती पदमारूढं भारती तीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखर भारती. Offer this humble talk at the lotus feet of Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Srimad Abhinav Vidyatirtha Mahaswamigal Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Bharati Tirtha Mahaswamigal and Sannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Vidushekara Bharati Mahaswamigal. Dear Sishyas, friends, relatives, and well-wishers, happy to connect one more time with you all under the auspices of the 134th Jayanti celebrations of Jnananda Bhati Swamigal. This Jayanti, we thought we would plan a talk on from the book The Hindu Ideal, authored by the Purvashrama Pita of Jnananda Bhati Swamigal, Sri Ramananda Bharati, Sri Ramananda Saraswati Swamigal. This text was authored by Sri Ramananda Saraswati Swamigal, condensed, edited, and released for our benefit by Jnananda Bharati Swamigal. I take the blessings of my Manasika Vedanta Guru Jnananda Bharati Swamigal before venturing to submit a few things about it. This talk attempts to convey some important takeaways on Vedanta, addressed and so beautifully and eloquently in a very simple style, conveyed to astikas like us who are craving to know what this Vedanta means to all of us. So, trying to convey some of the takeaways covered in the first 5 chapters of the book, The Hindu Ideal. Jnanadabad Swamigal is known for his simplicity and his perfect rendition of what our scriptures, Shastras, Vedas, and the Vedanta mean. And he puts several small baby steps to enable astikas like us to make attempts like a child so that we start climbing in this path of spiritual progress. It takes the first question: is there a purpose for human birth? And the book says there are 2 purposes: to secure good and to avoid bad, or in for modern understanding, avoid evil. If you say it is to secure good and to avoid bad, What do you mean by good and bad? That needs the definition. So it says, good is only one, but for our understanding, we will progress it from three dimensions. A, existence or sat, in contradistinction to death and the cycles of rebirth. So, existence vis-a-vis death. Existence is good, death is bad, and the recycle of births. Two, knowledge or chit as opposed to ignorance. Three, eternal everlasting ananda as opposed to the cycles of pleasures and pains in the human life. And it says, Sat Chit Ananda, existence, knowledge, and Ananda is good, as opposed to death leading to recycles of birth, ignorance, and going through the cycles of pleasures and pains is bad, as far as Vedanta is concerned. So, having defined what is good and what is bad, how do we relate it to us? Is the next question. Is there a way to relate it to us? How do you relate it? It therefore says, remember, existence or sat is an existence which has no relation to this body. Two, the material or worldly knowledge which we acquire involves the process of the mind, the buddhi, the organs, both the karmendriya and jnanendriyas, and its interconnection with this material world and the material objects. So the knowledge we perceive, we use, is having the knowledge that we generate out of this is what we call it as material knowledge. Good says the knowledge which we are going to talk about is not even remotely related to the mind, to the buddhi, to the organs, or to this material world. So it doesn't need any connections with any of these. The Ananda, how do we relate Ananda? It says, the happiness which you derive, which all of us derive from this material world, is conditioned. It is ever changing, not permanent. It's both impure and mixed. And everything is again secured only from and out of the material world and the material objects. So we are talking of an Ananda which has no relationship to this. So the existence, the knowledge, and the bliss or the Ananda, which falls under the vertical good, has no sense of relation to this body, mind, intellect, organs, and material world and the material objects. My God. Now it takes us to the fourth step. All right. If we have to do or reach there, does Vedanta prescribe a path? Please tell us. We are interested only in that. It's no point in discussing uh, abstract things. And therefore, it shows us the marga. It says the choice for the human beings falls under two sets. Good follows a sequence of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Bad follows a sequence artha, kama, karma, karma bandha. So the choice is given to every individual, every human being to choose either this or that. You want to choose dharma, artha, kama, or moksha, or choose artha, kama, karma, and karma bandha. Purely our discretion. Takes us to the next step. All right, what is missing in the second is dharma. So, artha and kama minus dharma cannot lead us to moksha, we understand. It leads us to karma and karma bandha, we understand. But tell us, by practice of dharma, what do we get? Because we see everywhere in this world the non practice of dharma. So, what are you talking about? What will dharma secure one? Remember the first, second step. We talked about good under the vertical existence, knowledge, and ananda, sat, chit, ananda, and said this has no relation to the body, mind, intellect, and the world. Therefore, in a Vedantic sense, what can practice of dharma give one? What is the tangible outputs by practicing dharma? The tangible outputs, this book says, the Hindu ideal, referring to various scriptures. It says there are four tangible benefits if one is a practitioner of dharma. And what are the four benefits? One, consistent and uniform and sincere devoted practice of dharma leads one slowly starts to condition the inner world or the inner nature. First thing, dharma will enable one to slowly condition our inner nature. One's own nature will start changing. Two, practice of dharma will slowly extinguish our desires, our worldly or material desires, slowly and steadily. Three, practice of dharma will make one slowly very pure and fit for spiritual journey. And the fourth, which is the most important, practice of dharma will slowly distance and result in the detachment of artha and kama. And that's the precise difference. Therefore, searching artha and kama by practicing dharma ultimately will slowly distance us, disassociate us, detach us from artha and kama. the banking or the craving for material resources and fulfillment of desires and the anxiety and the irritation that arises out of it. So, practice of dharma gives these four tangible inputs. It will make a human being slowly a non selfish, a selfless human being fit for spiritual progress. And this spiritual path is what is called as Atma Vidya. Now, let us see the contour. We don't want to practice dharma. We will take artha and kama into our hands. You should also state what are those consequences if we take only artha and kama without dharma. One who pursues artha and kama without dharma will slowly and steadily become a very, very selfish person. So the question is, who are we to judge one is selfish or unselfish? Is there a standard yardstick to find out whether we are selfish or not? Because a selfish person cannot even get into the entry gate of Vedanta. He has to spend, he or she has to spend their time only in this material world. So, is there a judging yardstick to say somebody is selfish? How do we know somebody is selfish? Merely because someone does not practice dharma. Now, there are two broad ways to understand whether someone is selfish or not. One is whether that person perpetuates desirous thoughts and wants to experience those desires. Because desires emanate out of selfishness. Good, bad, we'll all discuss it later. Vedanta addresses it in a pure, abstract, and clear, unambiguous sense. A desirous human being will normally be a selfish human being. That's one test. And the second test, in case we are fit enough to analyze or introspect our mind, reflect on our mind, which again requires capabilities. Suppose one is fit enough to self introspect one's mind, even occasionally. If one can become a witness of one's mind for a few seconds or a few minutes and keep watching the thoughts, do these thoughts involve us or about us or what we want for us? We will connect the entire universe through our desires, through our thoughts, through our dreams. It's capable, it's all expansive. But the question is, can that mean if these thoughts are centered around us, our needs, our aspirations, our desires, our disappointments, our pain, our hurt, then it is one more way to say that we are indeed selfish. So, pursuit of artha and kama with selfish desires. Where will this result or take us into? See, desires is a 2 or 3 step process. Desires emanate out of past experience. Desires emanate out of knowledge and visualization. Then there is a longing to reach out and exhaust the desire. And when desire gets fulfilled, we are happy for a while. Or if it doesn't get fulfilled, we start feeling hurt or the pain. And an agitated mind keeps dwelling on those desires, either exhausted or unfulfilled, and pursues it with more intensity. So, desire leading to selfish thoughts and actions, fructifying or failing, leads us to karma bandha. So, instead of moksha, we fall into the cycle of what is called as the world of bondage, samsara, eternal bondage, recycling ourselves through the chains of birth and death. So Vedanta gives us an option. Look here. Do you want Atma or do you want karma and karma bandha? If you want to realize Atma, then follow the 4 steps of dharma, artha, kama, because it leads you to moksha. If you do not want moksha and you want to dwell in this world forever, then artha, kama, karma, choice is left to our own individual. Now, the book, The Hindu Ideal, utters a caution here. It says, as long as there is mind, then it will register impressions. So, somebody who is in the path of selfless thoughts, somebody whose desires are getting extinguished because of the worldly impact and because of not securing a complete control over their body, mind, or the buddhi, or over the material world, there are straight possibilities for even such trained mind to get contaminated. That's the power of the world, which you're going to see a little later. What it is, what does power means? So, when you practice unselfish thoughts and desires getting extinguished and you are feeling detached from artha and kama, getting contaminated or seeing a downfall is still not excluded. In spite of one staying in the course of Dharma. And therefore, Vedanta says it is at this stage, it's the assurance given by Vedanta. If one secures this path for oneself, goes progresses in that, be assured that you will find, you will reach the divine doors of an emancipated guru who will handhold you and take you further in this journey of jnana. This is this will happen as a divine occurrence in anyone's life who attempts this. Is the assurance given. So we have come 4, 5 steps now. One who is unselfish and pursues and starts to extinguish desires should not fall back because the mind is still there and can get contaminated. And therefore, Vedanta assures you don't worry. If you are fit enough, somebody will appear in your life, handhold you, and start taking you. This is a divine assurance. So, this is the first phase of the 5 steps which we taught. What is good and what is bad, and how we should give up bad and migrate to good. For doing this, Vedanta wants us to understand first, because we have not experienced it. If we experience it, then that's different. We'll all stay in that experience and not even talk about it. The fact that we are discussing, we are trying to know, there's a craving to know, goes to show we have not secured that experience. And it therefore wants us to familiarize with two important principal concepts of Brahman and Maya. How Maya operates on all of us, envelops us, and therefore the need for us to trace back our steps to it. So the book discusses very briefly but beautifully and graphically what is Maya. The first answer, go to any learned scholar. The first answer they will give, please tell what is Maya. Maya is indescribable. That's the safe and sure answer. But for an aspirant, for a student, for somebody who is in the path who wants to know, we need to also define it in some form. It is definitionless because it is infinite. We'll come to that in a couple of minutes. But still, for our understanding. So, this book portrays Maya in the following steps. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody sings very well. Somebody plays cricket very well. Somebody has a great power to rule. Ask a question. Can one separate that power from that individual? First question. Can you separate the singing power out of the singer? Isolate it. No. Can you strip out the cricketing talent from the cricketer? Not possible. Can you dissect with a pair of scissors and isolate the power to rule on the individual? Is it transportable from one person to another person? Therefore, the individual and his or her power is something which is inseparable with the individual. That's it. 2, can you destroy, diminish, or take away that power from the individual? Not possible. So it is indestructible from the person. 3, A singer is not one who will sing all the 24 hours to claim or declare themselves as a singer. Even at times when somebody doesn't sing, the talent of singing is still within that person, within that individual. That cannot be taken away. The third point. Now, see, these are all analogies as to be understood in the right sense because there is no perfect example. An example of approximation. They therefore say if you answer these three questions in sequence, you will understand Maya is nothing but the power or Shakti of Brahman, nothing else. The power of Brahman manifests as Maya. So it is not independent or indifferent from Brahman. It cannot be diminished, distracted, or isolated or cut from Brahman. And whether it manifests or stays subtly within Brahman, Maya exists. It is not as though when it manifests, it exists. When it's withdrawn, it vanishes. No. The Shakti or the power of Brahman always remains. It can be dormant or it can be potent. Now, translate this into an illustration. There is a mango which we feel is sweet to eat. So, what do? We will reverse the process. Somebody can pick up the mango. So, the hand reaches out to the mango. Step one. How does the hand reach out? The muscle power in the hand allows it to reach out. The Karmendriya works. Now, why should the muscle power in the hand and the motion available to the hand should reach? Because there is a will to reach that mango. Why should there be a will? Because there is a desire to eat that mango. Why should there be a desire to eat that mango? There is a knowledge about mango that being it's a sweet fruit to eat. So, reverse the process. Knowledge of a mango leads to desires, leads to will, leads to action, and ultimate performance. Suppose the mango is not there. Will the knowledge about the mango diminish or say will remain absent in that human thought? Answer is no, whether it is dormant or latent. Therefore, what is that which stores this knowledge? Somebody who prompts, because if a knowledge about mango should be there, always eternal, then a dead body should also cognize. It doesn't do. So, when we are alive, we start from knowledge and end with performance, overlooking the fact there is something behind this knowledge, which we call it as Jiva. Where does it come from? That's the question. Therefore, Vedanta says Maya, which is the Shakti or power of Brahman, when it manifests, is, is one which can control the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. and gives a beautiful sequence. When Brahman is subtle, Maya or the power of Brahman contained within it, there is no manifestation. When it chooses to manifest through its power of Maya, it broadly manifests into three varieties, broadly, very, very broad. A manifestation in which is pure or mere sattva, only pure sattva, minus rajas, minus tamas, is called Ishvara. A manifestation which has sattva and rajas, tamas being dormant or subdued in it, becomes human jivas, jivas in the form of a human being. A manifestation in which tamas dominates and sattva and rajas gets subdued, it results in this matter or this universe containing ever so many things, including non-human jivas. What is the difference? Vedanta says Ishvara, which is pure sattva, even though it's a manifestation out of Maya, is not distinct from Brahman. Brahman remains in a subtle form. Ishvara is the latent or potent form of Brahman because it is pure sattva. Because it is a manifestation, we have to give a name. So it's called Ishvara. It's not different from Brahman. And says a jiva in his or her human birth is capable of transcending and becoming Ishvara. So, four aspects are very clear here. Point one, Brahman stays in a subtle form and its Shakti or power Maya is within it. Step two, if it chooses to manifest, a manifestation which arises out of pure Sattva is called Ishvara. And therefore, there is no distinction between Brahman and Ishvara. When a mixture of Sattva and Rajas with subdued Tamas emanates out of it, it comes out as human jivas. Jivas as human beings. And every jiva, transcending its limitation of being a jiva, reaches and becomes Ishvara, dominated by Sattva. Then jiva becomes Ishvara. And such a person, Vedanta assures, will always be available in this world to help the jivas, and that person is called a Jivan Bhaktha or an emancipated Mahapurusha, Tapasvi, or Guru. And therefore, Vedanta makes no distinction between Brahman Ishvara, and a Guru. The triangle is complete because Brahman is pure, formless. Ishvara has a form but pure sattva. A Guru, in a human form of a jiva, emancipates himself, evolves, and becomes a mukta, staying in sattva, though in a human body. Such a guru is in form a jiva, in form a human body, but in tattva is Ishvara because he stays in sattva. Therefore, this is possible, and therefore there is an assurance. Fourth step: every jiva is entitled to seek this emancipation through the guidance of a guru because guru's guidance can transform jivas into Ishvara and therefore become a guru is one who can replicate himself with his shishya. That's the power of a guru. And therefore, it now a triangle becomes a perfect square. Brahman, Ishvara, Guru, Jiva. A guru is one from state of Jiva becomes Ishvara, showing to us. And assures capable of drawing every Jiva into Ishvara. Therefore, Vedanta says, look here, you must understand the purpose of a human birth. We saw three variations: Ishvara, Jiva, and the universe or the matter. There are the three permutations possible. Vedanta says Ishvara has nothing to do with matter because Ishvara stays in Sattva. It doesn't need this material world or the material objects. It just doesn't need it. Then what is the purpose of this manifestation? Here comes the answer in Vedanta. The purpose of manifestation of this universe with material objects and non-human jivas is only to subserve the interest of the human race called jivas. Jivas in the human forms. This world is relevant only for us, not for Ishvara. Though Ishvara alone manifests and the world is sustained by the Ishvara. So detached. So, Vedanta says, is it therefore appropriate for us to realize a human birth essentially is meant to ensure looking at this material world and material objects by the sheer practice of dharma, secure detachment to this material world and therefore detachment to the body, mind, and intellect, and therefore elevate ourselves from the status of a jiva to Ishvara or a mukta. This is the sole objective of human life or a human birth. And therefore, Vedanta says, go back to the first step. There is a distinction between good and bad. We are now dealing with an existence not related to the body, because body is related to the material world and material objects. We are talking of a knowledge which does not, you can't secure this knowledge out of worldly experience or through material connections or through material search or material desires. This is a knowledge beyond that. And securing this knowledge will provide you a bliss or ananda which is permanent and everlasting, unlike this worldly experience which takes each one of us through the cycles of pleasure and pain. And therefore, Vedanta says when you do karma, which is unavoidable, use dharma to do karma. It will, when we do karma using dharma, it will distance and isolate and detach slowly artha and kama, and dharma will takes us to moksha. On the other hand, if we do karma without dharma, in search of artha and kama, it leads to bandha or bondage or samsara. So dharma is the sole tool. The principal tool which one has to use as a human being to go in search of Ishvara. So the choice is, do you want to progress towards Ishvara or progress towards this material matter? Choice is yours. If you want to progress towards material matter, you can give up dharma. It's your choice. If you want to progress to Ishvara, you need dharma. So when you ask the question, we don't see people practicing dharma. Okay, right? That's their choice. So you can't find fault with them. You can't blame them. You should mistake them. Why are you angry? Why should what right do we have to be angry against them? They have preferred a path to remain here. So adharma is okay for them. They will face the consequences. Who are we? But if we are going to compare ourselves with them, say, see, he's adharmic, therefore I will, then also we can also choose that path. Absolutely our choice. Vedanta doesn't prevent us. So the comparison between a dharmic and an adharmic person is first of all incorrect, because adharma will allow you to stay in this world and suffer or enjoy several births, birth after birth. Dharma alone takes you to Ishvara. So, if you are interested in Ishvara, then we have to practice Dharma. Vedanta says, what is the point in comparison? Why should we keep proving this? Because their objective and your objectives are completely indifferent. They are not matchable at all. Why are you comparing and getting into this trap? One wants to go in one direction, another wants to go in another direction. So never say world is adharma, people are adharma, they are all happy. Oh, what is the problem? See, your happiness or your unhappiness doesn't matter as long as we practice dharma. Because dharma will take us there. They give an answer. Satkarmas, good karmas, practiced over using the tool of dharma, even if we revisit this world as a human being, after enjoying the pleasures and plains of, see, if it's a mixed karma and dharma will be here and there. If it is abundant, punya will be in the celestial regions. If you are abundant of papa, we will be in the nether world. All that this textbook explains it beautifully. I'm leaving that for the viewers and readers to read it. Also, for want of time, it explains all that sequence, but it says ultimately, as a human being, you have to come back every time after exhausting punya and punya. There will be a human birth. Therefore, don't get into this comparison trap of dharma and adharma if you want to become Ishwar. Then you have to practice them. And the fifth chapter ends in its own beautiful style, which Swamigal is known to when he puts it beautifully. He says, look here, all that we have spoken now, which is the tiniest fraction of a huge, unimaginable infinite. This knowledge, this jnana cannot be attained through some direct experience by connecting ourselves to the world. It makes it very, very clear. Four things it makes it clear. You cannot get this knowledge out of your worldly experience. Two, you cannot get this experience by intellectual pursuits, by trying to know, acquire knowledge about it. By acquiring knowledge, you will not attain jnana. Clear? Two. Three, you cannot arrive at this experience through inference. So, not through direct experience of this material world, not through intellectual pursuits, not through inference. It comes only through a divine revelation. And that divine revelation can come only when a guru handholds you, a guru who is a Jivan Mukta, who has emancipated himself and therefore capable of emancipating us. Dear Sishyas, now we will realize how fortunate we are in getting this human birth. And how fortunate we are in not just in getting a human birth, but being born in a family which has its Kula Guru for centuries as the Avichinna Guru Parampara Bhagavatpada Shankara belonging to the Shinge Dakshinamnaya Shingeri Sharda Pita. Let's understand how fortunate we are in this birth. Because there is a Guru after Guru, who are tapasvis, Mahapurushas, and Jivan Muktas, ready to emancipate us, initiate us in that process, handhold us. Physically, we are able to see a Guru of that nature in our lives. When, under the divine ordainment of Sri Sri Mahasannidhanam, our Sri Sri Sannidhanam opened up on 10th November, when Sri Sri Mahasannidhanam enters the 50th year of Sannyasa Svikara. A giant 32 feet granite Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada, for the sake of this world and for its betterment. The example cited by Sri Sri Sannidhanam in his Anugraha Bhashnam needs to be referred here. And Sri Sri Sannidhanam says this example is something quoted by Sri Sri Mahasannidhanam at the time of, in his Anugraha Bhashnam at the time of Rajagopuram. What did Sri Sri Mahasannidhanam say? You go every time we pass through the Rajagopuram, stay for a second and look at its celestial majesty and ask a question to yourself. Who are we before this tall celestial structure? Ask the question. Our ego will certainly go for an assault. And Sri Sannidhanam says, looking from the foothill, see Bhagavatpada Shankara and ask the same question. Oh, what a parampara you have drawn and given to us, to this world, for its good. And where are we? Carrying our lives filled with ego. Ask that question. We have the Rajagopuram to ask that question. We have the Ishwara Giri in the form of Malahalishwara temple to ask that question. We have Shankara, now Shankara Giri to ask that same question. And what did Sri Sannidhanam say? Today, this is being recorded on the Deepavali day, so morning Anugraha Bhashanam in Tamil. Everyone should equip. See, when Sanatana Dharma is under attack, it's an opportunity for every Sanatani to understand and know what Sanatana Dharma means, so that objections raised can be clarified. One should equip. If you are equipped, then you are alert. You can always answer. See, this Dharma has lasted. It has survived any onslaught at any point of time. eternal because it comes along with the manifestation. When Brahman manifests through Maya, along with it, the prescriptions of the manifestation for the jiva to practice dharma is also released from the same source, which is infinite, imperishable. Let there not be an iota of doubt on that. And therefore, as followers of that eternal dharma, we should have a knowledge about the dharma. As followers of dharma, we should practice the dharma. As followers of dharma, we should not worry about others not practicing it. Because the choice is dharma takes you somewhere, adharma takes you somewhere. Why are we comparing? They are not comparables. This stern belief and conviction we should have in life. Because for a material race, don't use dharma for a material race. It will. See, even there you will succeed. That's a different story. We have spoken about it also. But don't get into the psychological inferiority. It's a caution Vedanta keeps uttering. This is being projected from a Vedantic sense. Therefore, when we are bestowed with such an avichinna Guru Parampara, 37 Sadgurus have sustained this Petam for 1230 years. Again and again, preaching, propagating, blessing, and emancipating helpless, hapless jivas of that generation without a discontinuity. And in that parampara, one of the fondest Sishyas is Jnananda Bhatta Swami, who, like all of us, from a human being, from an ordinary brahmachari, transformed to stages and finally ended his Jiva Yatra as a Shuddhatma, as a sannyasi. After authoring classic works in Tamil, English, and in Sanskrit, a service unmatchable in any terms. And from that, we have today spoken about the first 5 chapters of the Hindu ideal, the original thoughts emanating from his Purvashrama father, Sri Ramananda Saraswati Swami, and being condensed and given to us by Jnananda Bhatta Swami. Offer my sincere thanks to our Shankar, who manages the Mannadi Mangalam Adhishtanam of Swami. And thanks are also to the entire team of Shingeri Guru Bandhavas, and to Astikas, Sishyas, friends, and relatives watching this video. If this talk has some sense, this is completely the grace of Shri Shri Mahasannidhanam and the blessings of my Manasiga Vedanta Guru Jnananda Bhatta Swami. If there are errors, if any, it's purely my misunderstanding and my inability to understand Vedanta correctly, and it's attributable to me. With these few thoughts, I once again thank each one of you and feel so blessed to have talked on the 134th Jayanti Dinama of Jnanananda Bharati Swami. Offer this talk at the lotus feet of Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Abhinav Vidyatita Mahaswamigal, Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Shri Bharati Tita Mahaswamigal, and Sannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Shri Yudhishekara Bharati Mahaswamigal. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara.